All right, y'all. Kamala Harris. Some of y'all gonna be voting for her. Some of y'all gonna be voting for Trump. Now, I have been very clear. And I want to say something, but I can't say it because I asked my wife if I asked my wife, I was like, yo, if I say this, do you think it's too crazy to say? And she told me it was too crazy to say. And I respect my wife's opinion. Because the reason why I was even asking her if I should say that is because I kind of knew that I shouldn't say it. So I'm not going to say it. But I will say this. I'm not voting for Kamala Harris. I'm not. You vote for Jesus. I vote for Jesus too, Leslie. I also vote for Jesus. But the fact of the matter is, we do have a real election taking place. And I think that we should have these conversations because, as we know, there's spiritual warfare all around us. There's a fight for good versus evil all around us. And something that we can do to respect our governing authorities, as the Bible tells us to respect our governing authorities, however you want to interpret that, something that we can do to participate in this system is to cast a vote. And I have been very vocal about this in the past, about my desire to not even really want to vote. I'll keep it real with you. I said this on Instagram. I said, I don't even really know if I want to vote because it's just like everyone's flip flopping. Like Trump got on stage and he's talking about, basically saying like abortion, like follow your heart and doing all this kind of stuff. And it's this, that, and the third. And, and then he also got on stage, Trump, and he was talking about how, he was talking to Christians and he was pretty much saying like, there's some things that I have to compromise on because this is an election and we have to win an election. And it's stuff like that that's kind of discouraging, right? But then when you look on the other side, when you look at Kamala Harris, I don't even know if I can say constant. I don't want to get too outlandish, but whatever, I'll get outlandish. The constant support of demonic agendas that I've witnessed personally from Kamala Harris is just, it's insane. It's insane. And the fact that she hasn't even really given us any clear policy as of yet is very concerning. I don't want to get too crazy down a conspiracy rabbit hole, but even the fact that she's the nominee right now is concerning. But at the end of the day, it's up to the Democrats to choose who they want to put in that position. But if you're saying that Biden is unfit to be the nominee in just a few months, it does raise the question, who's running the country right now? Who's running the country right now? If Biden is unfit to run for president in a few months, then how is he currently fit to run the country right now? So to me, Kamala Harris is already running the country. She's vice president anyway. She's in that position if anything were to happen to the president to step up and lead this country. She's already leading this country. I don't understand this conversation of vote for me and I'm going to do this. Vote for me and I'm going to do that from the standpoint of Kamala Harris. You're vice president right now. If you're not running the country, which I believe she's running the country, but if she's not running the country, she has a direct line of communication to the person who is. And I understand politics is a very complicated game that involves a lot of pieces. I understand it. But this thing of like, if you vote for me, I'm going to do this. How come you don't just do it right now? If you're really for the people, just do it right now. With all of that said, and this is not something that I say because I want it to happen. This is something that I say based on the very simple fact that the world has become increasingly more blind, increasingly more oblivious, and increasingly more extreme. I could most definitely 100% see a scenario where Kamala Harris is elected in and where she wins. And actually, the people who are voting for Kamala Harris, I feel like, just based on what I've seen on social media, I feel like they're not even really concerned about the policy. They're going to vote for her regardless. It might actually be to her benefit to not put the policy out, to not expose how crazy the policy is. It might be a benefit for her to delay and just allow all of these individuals to continue following blindly, which is what's happening right now. And also, it's so crazy to me that she hasn't done any like real dialogue with the media. At least not that I've seen. Maybe by the time y'all see this or right now, maybe she's currently sitting down with the media and having conversations. It's crazy to me that she hasn't up until this point had like some sort of long form conversation. I mean, you look at Trump and you look at JD Vance, and I don't think they're running the best campaign, in my opinion. I do not think they're running the best campaign. I don't. It's very sloppy, in my opinion. I wish we could just have a campaign where it's just like the policy. Let's just focus on the policy. Forget all the high school drama and back and forth. Let's just focus on the policy. What are you going to do for the people? What are you going to do for the people? I think they're focusing too much on some of the personal stuff, but at least they've given us some policy to kind of dissect and look at. And like I said, it's crazy that they haven't done that Kamala hasn't done any type of interview from a media standpoint. JD Vance, he just went on ABC News. He did CNN. Those are pretty, I don't want to say hostile, but you could tell that they weren't on the side of Trump Vance. But he still did those interviews. Same thing with Trump. He still did interviews. It's like, from Kamala's standpoint, just do any interview. Go to CNN, go to any place. You don't have to go to the place that is opposing you. Just go to any place, but she won't even do that. And then you think about it like, bro, and this is something that Vivek said yesterday. I was watching an interview from The Breakfast Club. Vivek Ramaswamy was on The Breakfast Club. That was actually a really good interview that he did yesterday. He was saying like, yo, if Kamala can't have tough conversations with Americans who oppose her, how is she going to sit in front of Vladimir Putin and have tough conversations and other world leaders and have tough conversations? With that said, let's embark down a journey and listen to what some of Kamala Harris's supporters have to say in terms of the reason why they are supporting Kamala Harris. Let's get into it.
Why are y'all voting for Kamala Harris?
I don't want to lose my rights. Like, I'm a trans man and I'm gay and I have been pregnant and I've had an abortion before and I don't want to lose that. I'm afraid of not being able to be myself anymore because from what I've heard, Trump's America doesn't want me to look like this. So that's why I'm here today and that's why I'm voting blue.
What about you?
I've also been pregnant and had an abortion before. I was a minor and it would have been dangerous for me to properly, like, it would have been dangerous for me to carry a baby with, like, personal reasons and everything. I also, like, I'm very, alternative, and I feel like if Trump were to win, I wouldn't be able to, like, express myself through my looks and everything, and wouldn't be able to have the piercings or the dyed hair or the tattoos that I want. I would be able to be myself, and my dad's very pro-Trump, and I'm just very
Pro-Kamala.
pro-Kamala. Yeah, I don't, it's just...
Does that cause a divide at all?
Yeah, it definitely does. He thinks that Kamala's going to ruin the country, but I think that Trump would do worse, like, a lot.
So the thing that was very interesting to me is that she or he, they or them, I'm not sure. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I don't know the pronouns, and it looks like a she, and I'm gonna say she, right? She was saying, um, that if Trump were to win, she would not be able to be herself. And that struck me. And I'm sure this is not the same feeling across all Kamala Harris supporters. But I could imagine that there's a good portion of Kamala Harris supporters who might feel the same type of sentiment in terms of if Trump were to be elected, their life would be greatly impacted to a point beyond return. Not to be dramatic, but that's just what came out of my mouth. But the thing that's so crazy to me is, like, honestly, as I said, I'm not voting for Kamala Harris. But if she were to win, which, as I said, I think is very possible. I think it's very possible. I'm almost more inclined to believe that in my head, I think it's more likely that Kamala wins than Trump wins. And like I said, if you are somebody who doesn't want to see that happen, then get out there and go vote. But I think it's more likely that Kamala wins than Trump wins. Not that I want that to happen. I just think it's more likely. I don't have a bunch of data and polls and everything to show you. I'm just looking at the people. And a lot of people that I'm seeing are just blindly voting because they feel like if Trump were to win, their life would be greatly impacted. And that, to me, shows a complete lack of faith. Because I don't care who gets into office. Like, if that offends some of y'all, it is what it is. It doesn't really matter because Jesus is in control. God is in control. And if hard times come, that's an opportunity for us to lean closer and focus on our relationship with Jesus. If things happen and this world continues to get crazier, which, oh, by the way, the Bible tells us the world is only going to continue to get crazier in the end times. So why are we surprised? You know what I'm saying? Why are we surprised? We already know this stuff is going to get wicked. We already know it's going to get out of control. We already know it's going to get wild. We literally just watched a video of a trans man saying that he got pregnant. Like, is this where you thought we were going to be at 2024? Just keep it real. And this is only going to progress and get even more crazier. I also saw something, where was it? On the Brilliant Idiots. If a cuss word slips, I think I got it to a point where he's not cussing. But if there is a word that slips, I apologize. But I thought this was interesting. And this kind of speaks to how I feel about the situation as well.
And then as second she becomes
He's talking about the second that Kamala becomes the nominee.
Everything was forgotten, immediate amnesia. You always talk about how, like, Republicans get in line. Democrats get in line, bro.
But that,
just yes. So who should I follow? Yes. Whatever you say, Daddy.
But that's why it was good for President Biden to step down.
Right.
And this is what I'm saying. It's like, it's from a Democratic standpoint, I feel like it's not even about. It's more so about the hatred that they have for the other side, as opposed to who their candidate is. And like I said, I didn't grow up Republican. I don't even necessarily think I would consider myself Republican right now. Like, I grew up very much Democrat, very much left. And it was just like, over time, it just became crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier. And as I became a Christian, just the divide between my belief system as a Christian and beliefs on the left just were in constant friction. It's like, bro, I can't support this. I can't support this. And this is another interesting conversation that I would love to have, like from the standpoint of Christians who are supporting these different types of policies, these different abortion policies, these different policies that are clearly not of God. I would love to have the conversation as to kind of the perspective of how they think about those things. But like I said, Trump is not perfect. There's a lot of things I don't like about Trump. There's a lot of things that just kind of that send red flags. There's a lot of different things that even from like a religious standpoint, it's like, sometimes it feels like he's pandering to Christians, like he's not really genuine about it. But then other times it's like I sense a level of genuineness. And it's confusing. This whole system is confusing. But I think when you put the two candidates side by side, as a Christian, the party that most aligns with my belief system as a Christian, the candidate who's running for president is Donald Trump. So that's where my vote would go. But I do think there is this groupthink mentality from a lot of people. And there's this constant push from a lot of people to be them and to be yourself and to feel good and to be happy. And I think the left and, Democrats have done a good job of putting a voice and putting a face to the people who feel that way, which is a lot of people. Because on the contrary, as a Christian, we're told that things are going to be hard. We're told that we're going to be hated. If God was hated, then of course we are going to be hated because we follow God. We're told to pick up our cross. We're told to crucify our flesh. We're told all of these things. We know the persecution is coming. We know it's going to be tough. Are there moments of joy and happiness and positivity and love and just all the positive stuff when you're a Christian? Absolutely. There's all of that. We have true joy. As Christians, we are given true eternal joy, but that doesn't always mean that we're happy. That doesn't always mean that, bro, it feels good to crucify my flesh. It would feel better, quote unquote. Well, I can't say that. I can't even say that. And this is the thing where it's like my perspective is constantly changing. I was going to say it would feel better if we just gave in to our flesh, but it's so temporal. It's so temporary. If we're just talking from a feeling standpoint, which I'm trying to get away from just the feeling, but if we're just talking about purely from a feeling standpoint, when we overcome temptation, it feels so much better. It might suck in the moment because our sinful flesh is pulling us in that direction and we're actively opposing it and crucifying it and denying it. But once you get through that, it feels so much better. But there's a lot of people who just don't understand that concept. They just have to give in to their desires. They have to give in to these spirits of homosexuality, of transgender, of confusion, of non-binary. And I'm not trying to just pick on that group, but I'm just saying that like a lot of these individuals, it's coming from a spirit of confusion. It's coming from a spirit of lust. It's coming from a deceitful spirit that doesn't want you to realize who you actually are in Christ. I don't know. I feel like I got off in a little bit of a tangent there,